All right, Shalom Akim Shalom. Hey, Yabashim Al Shai, Brakathum to my dear brothers and sisters out there worshiping the Heavenly Father in spirit and in truth. Our praises to Yahweh Bashim Al Shai and double honors to the apostles over there at Great Millstone. Actually, the energy of this lesson come from one of the Elder Apostle Gabar. As of lately, you know he been going into the history of the wicked high priest Jason that's found in the book of Maccabees or during the time of the Greek era. And he been going into it in a comparison with the leader of the Sakari group, Alazar Bunloya, showing that Alazar is exhibiting the same traits of Jason the high priest. You know? So might as well, or he may be that guy in the reincarnation. All right? Alazar may be Jason in the reincarnation, and most likely, it's like I believe it. That's him. But nonetheless, what I want to do is I just want to do a quick history for you. Lord willing, this video ain't long at all, but it's going to show you the wickedness. Matter of fact, I entitled it GMS, or Great Millstone, History on the Wickedness of Jason the High Priest. You're going to find out this guy wickedness. Let's read this. I'm right here in the Jewish Virtual Library under Jason. It says, Jason, High Priest Jason, who adopted this Greek form of his Hebrew name Joshua. So this guy, Jason the High Priest, he changed his Hebrew name he turned it into the Greek equivalent. So Joshua, his Hebrew name would have been Yahushai, because Yahushai's name in English is named Joshua. Okay, so he took his name from being Yahushai and put it over into the Greek form of saying Yahushai. So this guy, is off top, you already seeing this guy was changing from the ways of his forefathers and adopting the heathen way. It goes on further to say, he was a son of the high priest Simon II and brothers of Onias III. So Onias III was his brother. Now Onias III had the high priest spot. Jason unjustly enriched himself by paying the Greek king Antiochus to steal the high priest spot from Onias III, his own brother. Okay? And no, he was not the brother of Malinus. If you ever heard anybody say that he's the brother of Malinus, he's not the brother of Malinus. Malinus stole the spot from Jason the wicked high priest. All right? Malinus was another wicked high priest, and he stole it from Jason. It goes on further to say, though, it says, the events that occurred at the end of the high priesthood of Onias III undermined his standing in the Seleucid court. Jason exploited the ascent of Antiochus IV to the throne in 176 BC. So, you see that Jason exploited his own brother. He stole the spot by offering Antiochus IV money. We're gonna read it. It says in 176 BC, in his need of money to have his brother disposed and to obtain the high priesthood for himself in 175 BC. It says, against the promise of an enlarged sums of money, Antiochus also granted him authority to establish in Jerusalem a Hellenistic polis. Polis is a gem, whose citizens were selected and registered by Jason himself. So this guy promised Antiochus money, gave him money for the high priesthood, and he also was given license from Antiochus to build a gym. That's what a polis is. Okay, it's a gym. And Jason was registering our people from the ways of our father to that Greekish fashion. All right, registering them. All right. So you see that he was wicked. It goes on further to say, it says, armed with this authority, he established within Jerusalem a city-state called Antiochia. So he created a whole region called Antiochia, whose citizens he chose from the Hellenized aristocracy of Jerusalem. So the the higher ups in Jerusalem that Hellenized themselves, this guy Jason was taking them in for himself and creating them into Antiochians. You see, he was Hellenizing them. Okay, it says, um, whose citizens he chose from the Hellenist aristocracy of Jerusalem. It says, and erected a gymnasium in the capital. His actions led to the strengthening of the Hellenistic culture in the city and to the weakening of the traditional way of life in the religious worship. So this guy, Jason, when Jason came, the Hellenizing of our people was at its climax. It was at its peak. He was Hellenizing our people left and right. He was taking them from the worship of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, etc., the laws of Moses. And he was introducing this Greekish fashion. Okay? And he was taking the leadership in that Hellenized himself and was bringing them over to being Antiochians. And it says you can find this written in 2 Maccabees 4, 7 through 15. Let's read that real quick. This is 2 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 7 through 15. And I have it here on my secondary device. It says, but after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be high priest. We just read that. So when you look up that Seleucus, that was Seleucus the fourth Philitator. When he died, Antiochus Epiphanes was able to take the kingdom. And Jason worked underhand to get it, as we was reading in this article. It says, promising unto the king by intercessions 360 talents of silver, and another revenue 80 talents. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to set up a place of exercise and for the training up of the youth in the fashion of the heathen, and to write them on Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians, which when the king had granted and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to Greekish fashion. You see the wickedness of this man. It says, and the royal privilege is granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolymius, who went ambassador to Rome for enmity and aid. He took away and putting down the governments which were according to the law. He brought up new customs against the law. So this guy had help, and it was bringing up new customs. It says, for he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. So that's the reason why the comparison of Alazar Baloy of the Sakari, he don't want to. He likes to wear his hat when he do the ministry. He introduced the hat to the ministry. It's that whole action is reincarnated again, and that guy he's exhibiting them same wicked traits by trying to tie the ways of the world with the truth today. Just as Jason was tying the Greekish fashion to our people. So this guy is fitting. That I believe that guy is Jason in the reincarnation. Okay. All right. So it says, and then the apostle also brought out that he also introduced a wrestling match, and he did that like 11 months ago, where he's trying to introduce wrestling into the truth. That's the same equivalency of a gym. So this guy right here is exhibiting the same traits. We're back here in 2 Maccabees 4, verse 13. It says, now such was the height of Greek fashion and increased of heathenistic manners through the exceedingly profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest, that the priests that had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despised the temple and neglect the sacrifices, hastening to be partaker of the unlawful allowances in the place of exercise after the game of discus, called them forth, not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all. So this guy was discouraging the people to worship Yahweh Shema Shai, the God of our fathers, Yahweh. And he was introducing them to this new Greekish fashion. And he was doing sacrifices, unjust, unlawful sacrifices. And he was introducing Greek games. And that's why the scriptures say he was an ungodly wretch and no high priest. That's what it just said. You see, so let's jump back here in this article now. So now you're seeing how it ties with that dude Alazar Bunloya. He's exhibiting the same of the Sakari. He's exhibiting the same traits. So we back here in this article in the Jewish library. It says this policy of Jason and his supporters was the chief cause of the Hasmonean revolt, which broke out afterward, and which finally freed Judea from the rule of the Seleucids and gave birth to the Hasmonean dynasty. So when Jason was doing this Greekish fashion, that's what caused the Maccabee brothers to be risen up, and we revolted from under Antiochus, the whole Seleucid Empire, because Antiochus came out of the Seleucid Empire, and they were trying to Hellenize us, man, trying to get us to do the Greek way. You see? So this guy is doing the same thing today. This guy Alazar. So it says Jason sent envoys and gifts to Tyre in honor of the festivities to the Tyron god Hercules. So this guy was worshiping that Greek guy called Hercules. It says he also welcomed Antiochus when he visited Jerusalem in 174 BC. However, 3 years later, he was dismissed from the high priesthood by the king, and Malinus, who offered Antiochus a larger sum of money for the office, was appointed in his stead. So he got took by the same trap that he set. So Malinus, he came with a higher amount of money promised to Antiochus so that he could have the spot over Jason. And he got it. It says, and Malinus, who offered Antiochus a larger sum of money for the office, was appointed in his stead. In a few years later, in 168, when a false rumor spread that Antiochus was dead, he, meaning Jason, attempted to return and seize power in Jerusalem. He was unsuccessful, however, and was compelled to leave the city after instituting a slaughter of the inhabitants. For a while, he was imprisoned by the Arabic king Artis, and it says his last years was spent wandering from place to place, and he was not buried in the family sepulcher. You demon. So this guy right here, he was evil, as you can see. And when he got set up by the same trap he set up for Onias is the same trap the high priest took from him. And Malinus took his spot. And Malinus, we're going to read about Malinus real quick. Malinus was wicked because Malinus had Onias III put to death. So these guys were fighting over the priesthood. They were fighting over the leadership, and none of them was appointed by the Heavenly Father, but they were self-appointed. They was appointed by the left hand. You see? They wasn't appointed by the Holy Spirit. That's what more properly said. They was appointed by the left hand. All right? Satan. They wasn't appointed by the Harakah Kodash. So we'll read about Malinus, but before we go there, this guy, when he got kicked out, Jason, he thought that Antiochus had died because Antiochus went down into Egypt to try to take the Ptolemaic Empire. Because remember, those devils were fighting for land and power. And he was unsuccessful. And he went up to Jerusalem and he found out that Jason tried to take the high priesthood, and Jason fled. And he became a wanderer after that. The Lord broke up his wickedness, took everything from him, and he became a slave, imprisoned by an Arabic king. And then it said he spent his last days wandering in shame, and the Lord was plaguing him the whole time. And he was not buried in his family's sepulcher. The Lord, and that's a disgrace. And you find that written in the Kings, when the Lord would when a wicked king did bad, he wasn't buried amongst his fathers. So that's what ended up happening to this guy. So you best believe that dude Alazar of the Sakari, you're gonna have to suffer a miserable end, a miserable fate. At least you repent. So let's jump down to Maccabees 4:33, because we'll read about Malinus real quick. It says, which when Onias knew of a surety, let me read verse 32. It says, now Malinus, supposing that he had gotten a convenient time, stole certain vessels of gold out of the temple and gave some to Andronicus, and some he sold to Tyrus in the cities round about. So this guy was stealing from the temple, Malinus, the one that stole the high priesthood from Jason. He was stealing from the temple. It says, which when Onias knew of a surety, he reproved him and withdrew himself into a sanctuary at Daphne and laid by Antolia. So Onias reproved that guy for doing that. And that dude, he got butthurt, Malinus. It says, wherefore Malinus, taking Andronicus apart, prayed him to get Onias into his hands, who being persuaded thereto, and coming to Onias in deceit, gave him the right hand with oaths, and thought he were suspected by him, yet persuaded he to come forth of the sanctuary, and forthwith he shut up without regard of justice. For the which cause not only the Jews, but many also of other nations took great indignation and were much grieved for the unjust murder of the man. So he had him set up. This dude Malinus set up Onias III and killed him. And everybody got mad about that, because Onias was a righteous spirit. Man, Onias III is one of my favorite men found in the scriptures. I like his story, But hey, that's been a real quick, great millstone history on the wickedness of Jason the high priest. And you can see that guy was very wicked. He was a very wicked and evil man. And he did his wickedness because he wanted the leadership role. And that guy, Alazar Banloya of the Sakari, that guy is exhibiting the same traits. So that guy is back. But now we know that you have these type of spirits out there that will, they'll say they're in the truth, but really they're feeding their own belly and doing wickedness. So I hope that was edifying to you, brothers and sisters out there. Yabba Shema Shai, Baka Thumb. To the next time, Shalom.